With over 40 nations heading to polls this year, 2024 is going to be the biggest election year in history to impact global trade. Geopolitics and divergence in countries' voting behavior will influence cross-border capital flows and macro-financial stability. Business Standard had reported earlier that at least 41 countries, representing 42% of the world's GDP and 41% of the global population, will witness a likely change of guard over the next 12 months. And the most consequential are going to be the ones held in the United States, Taiwan, the European Union, and Russia. Former US President Donald Trump is eyeing a return to the White House in November. Extrapolating from his previous stint, which a leading global media platform calls the stress test for democracy, Trump's return to office could potentially spell trouble for America's foreign policies, increased protectionism, and global trade wars.
The voters, they will not go by the economic projections for next year or 9 months later, etc. They may look at the most recent past and see what has been happening in the economy. Jobs have been cut. Inflation has been rising, and in Britain specifically, that has really created a lot of misery for the wage earning class, the middle class, lower middle class. And these are the people who will go to vote. So they may vote for increasing protectionism. And mind you, President Trump is a very strong contender for the Republican nomination, and unless the legal system comes in his way and prevents him from fighting the elections, he will be a candidate. And President Biden's popularity ratings have been going down.
With his principal rival behind bars, the Russian presidential elections in March will further cement Vladimir Putin's stranglehold until 2030. This in turn will augur ill for global oil supplies. Meanwhile, Taiwan's presidential elections, scheduled on 13 January, could decide Beijing's next move, as its stance towards Taiwan's current ruling party has been hostile. The ruling Democratic Progressive Party's return to power may provoke a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. This would not only impact US-China ties, but also have far-reaching economic outcomes, where blockade of key trade routes, disruption of semiconductor and commodity supply chains cannot be ruled out. Despite the geopolitical consequences, experts' outlook for the Indian economy is marked by cautious optimism. As India heads to general elections in April-May, experts believe the possible re-election of the current ruling BJP at the centre will help maintain India's appeal to foreign investors. Market analysts also consider India to be the only bright spot in the global economy, with market-friendly policies and capex outlay being some of the driving factors.
Other things being equal, India is likely to be a more attractive destination, both for investment, also as a trading partner. But of course, much will depend upon whether we are able to continue and intensify the various reforms in the Indian economy. So while the Indian economy is likely to be impacted and is already being impacted by external factors, this is likely to intensify because these wars are likely to continue in the coming year. But relatively speaking, I would say, India, which is globalized by many other countries, has a very large domestic economy, is likely to fare better than most other countries. That is what my assessment would be.
All of this comes at a time when the message for 2024 from India Inc. has specifically called for a focus on geopolitics, along with technology and people being the other two major areas. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, predicts a slowdown in global output in 2024 as a consequence of high interest rates. According to the OECD, global growth is not expected to edge up until 2025, which is when global central banks are expected to slash borrowing costs. The global gross domestic product is forecast to rise by 2.7% in 2024, marginally down from 2.9% in 2023. The United Nations Conference on Trade and Development emphasized the outlook for 2024 remains highly uncertain and generally pessimistic in a recent report. on the back of ongoing geopolitical tensions, escalating debt, and widespread economic fragility. Experts thus agree that 2024 could prove to be the year of the biggest electoral battles across nations that would redefine global relations for years to come.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.
He's making plans for an early retirement. Business Standard.